But what's even more important here is I ran against this guy 4 years ago. This is a different person. I mean, when I ran against him 4 years ago, this was a rabid conservative Republican, or so he claimed, and he has changed his mind on virtually every major issue the state confronts. Charlie Crist is not a theory. He was the governor of the state of Florida. He was a reality. I was the Speaker of the House for the first 2 years of that governorship. It was an unmitigated disaster for the people of the state of Florida. I go around the country today and I talk about people who tell me that when he was governor, they were afraid to open a business here because they weren't dealing with a reliable person. They were dealing with someone that was interested in going to the press conference and in cutting the ribbon, but not in the hard work that it took in between. They were afraid to come to Florida because they had a guy who single-handedly had almost tanked the state's utility industry. You heard Governor Scott mention it tonight, how utility rates skyrocketed under his leadership because of some of the appointments that he made to the Public Service Commission that were irresponsible and increased costs to Floridians. So, look, he is, on time and again, in the 4 years that he was the governor of the state of Florida, he was a disaster because he's all talk, he's all show, and no work. And maybe you can afford that in some legislative race somewhere. You can't afford that for governor of the third largest state in the country and one of the most important states in the country.
Senator, the complaints after the first debate is that it was lacking substance. The debate was lacking substance. As a voter, did you like what you heard tonight? Did you hear anything of substance?
Yeah, the problem is that as someone who was actually there when a lot of these things happened, the lies were distracting. The things that he was saying that just were not accurate were distracting. Because you look at it and say, this is an alternative universe that he's living in and some of the things that he's claiming. Look, here's the most startling part of it all. He claimed that the hard time that Floridians were having 4 years ago was because of a global economic downturn. Well, if you're in the middle of a global economic downturn, why would you abandon your state? Why would you decide we're in the middle of a downturn, so I'm going to leave Florida and run for the U.S. Senate because it would be nicer to live in Washington? I mean, he has to answer that question. Senator, at the end of the day, the bottom line is that anywhere Charlie goes, there's going to be some sort of bizarre thing, whether it's a new change of position. You know, you talked tonight about the health care law. This is the health care law that he went on CNN and said he didn't support after he supported it. This was the stimulus that he was bragging about tonight that he actually told Wolf Blitzer on CNN, I didn't support it, I didn't vote for the darn thing. That was his exact quote. So the state of Florida cannot afford to elect to its highest office someone who is unreliable, whose only interest is in being in office and winning elections. Bottom line, no, look, what looked bad was this bizarre incident tonight where Charlie Crist insisted on ignoring the rules of a debate, just like he's ignored the rules time and again when it comes to telling the truth about what he stands for on issue after issue. There is not one major issue before the state that he has not been on both sides on. In fact, when I saw him standing on that stage tonight, I thought to myself, maybe Charlie Crist can debate himself. We could have Charlie Crist from 2006 or Charlie Crist from 2010 before he became an independent debate Charlie Crist of 2014. But at the end of the day, when he took the stage, what he did tonight is talk a lot about what he did or said he was before, but in fact, his record as governor does not bear it out. He was an unmitigated disaster as the governor of Florida. I cannot imagine us going back to where we were in 2010 under his failed leadership.